Hello everyone, Ægion here, another Steel Division Normandy 44 replay. Spawn on the north side as the Scots, we have Frisse. Spawn on the south side as the Panzer Lehr, we have myself. This is a replay that I just played actually. It was a very good match. I was going Panzer Lehr, just having a bit of fun, I really wish the Puma was included in other battle groups, just because I just love that unit. That's the sole reason why I went for this this battle group, and not exactly the greatest of battle groups to be playing, because you have a severely gimped A and B phase. Oh, A phase is not that bad. B phase is, however, extremely bad. And so I'm just going to do a quick layout of what I have for set up my forces. I have some reconnaissance. I have a lot of units, like just infantry here to move forward, to secure up these woods. Got these triple machine gun half tracks to support my infantry, because my infantry quantity is very limited. Some reconnaissance. My idea was to move these half tracks forward to these tree lines, just to provide general fire support for my grenadiers, going pushing forward this general direction, and just some basic defenders over here. As well as, I'm assuming there's going to be a massive amount of units here. That's why I got the Panzer Warfare, expecting to be very concentrated here. This is a very valuable woods. If you set up a nice defensive line here, it's really hard for me if I set up a defensive line here. However, I was not expecting a rush all the way down to here and then to here. So I only have a single Panzer Grenadier, thinking that's a good enough defensive force. They have prevent any vehicles, they have Panzerfaust, they have dual LMGs to prevent any infantry. So a Panzer Grenadier in one of these buildings would be a good defense. Yeah, I was wrong. Very, very wrong. I have everything queued up. I was focused over here in my attention. Got the Churchill firing. This Panzer Grenadier is trying to rush up the building. I should really actually just... If I would have seen this earlier, I probably would have gotten this here. And of course, did a bit of dance around. Didn't even get inside the building, and now there's that HE Cromwell. I was going to lose this anyways. This did do quite a bit of damage to this officer unit, but that was not very good for me. This Kuppelwagen is the only thing providing presence. This Aufkalager doesn't provide presence on the field, and I have pretty sweeping gains over on this side of the map. But losing this entire flank early on is incredibly bad. And so now his infantry starting to move forward. My half tracks, as well as the machine gun half tracks, is providing fire support for the single unit here. And I'm pretty much ordered this Panzer Grenadiers to move forward here. I see all here because my reconnaissance unit. So the Panzer Grenadiers trying to move forward. Trying to save the Aufkalager just so they don't get gunned down. Look, the machine guns are firing. He had these guys on attack move, so he started returning fire, and they will get suppressed there. So I secured up on the side of the map as planned, or as hoped really, because I'm facing against infantry and I'm a Panzer division. So the winning force is not exactly my strong suit. And I did manage to win out in the forest. This rifle's pretty severely wounded. We'll be facing against Vita Panzer Grenadiers, so that area is good, but this area not so much. You got Bren groups, got rifles. My Kuppel is going to be firing. I should have just pulled it back. I didn't realize it was firing, thinking it would not have vision, but it is having vision there. The only reason I have this Kuppel here is really just to provide the field presence. Panzer Warfare is moving forward. I was foolishly moving it forward this way when I should have pulled it back earlier. You got a Puma in order to contend with that Churchill. I don't really plan to use an AT gun versus an HE weapon that can outrange the AT gun. That's why I went for something mobile, such as this Puma. This Panzer Warfare will be firing in this general location, trying to hit these units. Oh, fired it over there. suppose that's a good spot. I saw the AT gun. Now remember, I did see this AT gun here. So my plan was immediately destroy it. I didn't see any blip saying I destroyed it, but I did actually destroy it. That's actually quite important. I had no idea if I did or didn't. And if I'm going to pull up Pumas, or pretty much just Pumas, in order to gauge this Churchill, I needed to get rid of that AT gun, and I did not realize I actually did take it out. I just assumed I just got a lot of damage onto it. We have more reinforcing infantry now moving forward. This is becoming a bit of a dire situation for me. I do have these machine gun half-tracks. They have a serious amount of firepower. It's something I just recently discovered today. It is a triple 15mm machine gun with a huge rate of fire, which results in a huge HE at 800-meter range, so it is at heavy machine gun range. So this thing, it will rip apart infantry quite well. It is only 55 points. That's not bad. Seeing how Panzer Grenadiers in this division is 55 points as well, so if I'm going to augment my very small force of Panzer Grenadiers, that is a good unit. Costs the same amount. I did see this AT gun over here, so I'm a bit hesitant to move these half-tracks forward until I remove that AT gun. But there's also this HE Churchill as well. I have a Puma each side for one, but of course the HE Churchills have the extended 1,200-meter range. And with only 4 armor, these guys can take quite a bit of suppression damage, and will eventually get killed off by these things. So I start moving this guy forward. Even though I have 2 stars of veterancy, accuracy is not exactly the greatest. Base accuracy is 5, so the total accuracy is 7. But the penetration is only slight as well. I did get a shooter knocked out there, which is actually quite potent. And I did see the 6-pounder in this general area, so basically my plan was to angle this Puma so it stays behind this hedge line from this direction in order to protect it. Been getting some good hits there, but only suppression, nothing penetrating. And this Puma, I'm trying to move it forward in order to gauge this Churchill, but it keeps on trying to retarget to the infantry. The Puma has this thing quite a bit of suppression damage, so I decided just to pull back in fear of this AT gun that I did not know I destroyed. Panzer Warfare is lining up another shot for this general area, just trying to barrage it. I do have my mortar half-track now forward in order to gauge pinpoint targets. And these half-tracks are just getting ripped apart by this HE gun. They will be getting some shots off there. Looks like just hitting the command carrier. We do got the Panzer Warfare barrage coming in once again to that AT gun, which I believe was still alive, but is not. And that was the last of the ammo of the Panzer Warfare. Soon, I think the next tick I will be getting a supply truck. All of my mechanized vehicles and motorized vehicles are forced back. I did deploy some Panzer Grenadiers and an officer to establish a front line here. And that HE Churchill does manage to take out one of those auto machine guns, triple machine gun half tracks. Not auto cannons. Minimum caliber for, or millimeter size for a cannon to be classified as a cannon is in fact 20mm. Here I have a smoke barrage trying to ward out this Churchill. That's another reason why I got this half-track pinpoint targets in order to deal with any AT guns, as spotted just now, and to smoke out this Churchill. If I were to get a nice side armor shot here, it would be great, but this guy, Puma, is a bit suppressed. It has quite a bit of panicky, so I really need to get its 3rd star. Eventually, I move back this officer to this corner to support the Puma as well as the Grenadiers. Churchill starting to move forward. I have this Churchill stun locked by this Puma. This AT gun is not moving forward, which is a bit problematic. I think he's a bit concerned on this area, so am I. That just a Puma is on attack move. And this Puma has received quite a bit of HE damage. And of course, when I order to attack, once it gets done on the falling back stake, it goes back in, which I really wish I could just Even if in the falling back state, I was going to order it, but it will be destroyed by EG damage by that Churchill. I have this mortar barrage barraging the general area of that 6-pounder in order just to... Once I get to get rid of the 6-pounder, which I assumed it was either a new one or the same one from up here, I needed to get rid of the... That allows my Pumas and other light vehicles to have a bit of free reign in order to deal with this Churchill. And I could just start deploying those half-tracks, whether it be through Panzer Grenadiers or through the last one of these autocannon or auto machine gun half-tracks. And it's doing quite a good suppression. So I'm actually doing some very good engagements over here thanks to all the machine guns. But we do now have the Air Force coming in, and I'm on an armor division, so I don't exactly have the greatest Air Force. In fact, my air assets are 2 veteran single slot ME-109s, and in fact a Storch, just so I have, because I only have 3 slots, and I figured have a reconnaissance run would be quite nice. Now we've got this Puma here. It is at Veterancy 3 thanks to this nearby Panzer Grenadier. It's actually getting some good hits. Its accuracy went from 8% to 58%, so I'm getting some good hits now. And now we've got the mortar just trying to pitch in some additional suppression. And crew knocked out. That is a critical moment in this engagement. We got some reinforcing honeys. The 6-pounder nearly got my Puma, and luckily these mortars did follow up, providing enough suppression initially to fall back. And of course, it immediately goes back in, fires, and rolls a miss. It was a side armor shot. That was a key moment in order to get a hit, but it was not. Now this autocannon half-track is protected from the 6-pounder and ripping apart these unpieted weapon units. Not moving this Panzer Grenadier to this forward building because then it will result in a lot of firepower coming in. And there is a tiny brown spider hanging in front of me. We've been doing that a lot. We got this half-track engaged in the command carrier and actually did get gunned it down. I'm actually sort of surprised it did gun it down. Now we got these 2 Puma here. When I saw those Stuarts, I decided to spawn an AT gun in order to deal with these Stuarts quite efficiently. But we do got the 2 Stuarts engaging my Puma. I started to reverse move. They're at maximum range. I'm just starting to hold it back and cover, allowing my AT gun to move forward and engage it. I now use a Panzerwerfer barrage. There was the 6-pounder did move up here, but I did not realize that my mortar actually took it out. Of course, I can't really see because of fog of war. My Puma is my only reconnaissance in the area, which it is a bit suppressed, and I don't want to risk it from the 6-pounder. Even then, it is a bit stealthy. This Panzer Grenadier squad is a bit exposed because it's inside this building, but as it starts not firing, it will provide me some stealth. My units are staying nice and supplied up thanks to this munitions truck. And now we got this Pack 38. It's at 1-star veterancy. Will fire and will connect with the Stuart and will kill it off. That is actually quite important. Now this Stuart has no support really. And now there's 2 AT guns here in order to gauge all the enemy assets. However, this Churchill is firing upon these units. Over here, at this point, I started moving forward these half-tracks in order to I haven't seen that 6-pounder. Perhaps maybe I can get some point blank and suppress it quickly and force surrender. Puma is out of HE rounds, but that's minor consequence. And there goes the other Stuart, the Honey. I think actually the M3 is actually called the Honey, not the Stuart. But now we do got some reinforcing enemy infantry coming forward. I have these Panzer Grenadiers here. Run groups can't really contend with them on 1v1. They're meant for fire support, but they are dirt cheap. These guys are 10 to deploy. These guys, along with the half-track, cost 55. See the big difference there. And now, since Battle Phase B has been initiated, I decided to bring in a Panzer. Why? Instead of a Panzer IV? 14 armor. I still do not have any confirmation that those AT guns were dead. So I decided to bring in something that can withstand it. And destroying, and now I saw these Bedford trucks, I retargeted to them, will destroy one of them. We do got some assault pioneers, even though sort of flamethrower symbol. These are in fact the guys with single frags, dirt cheap, single frags, like the Burn group. That's what the Scott infantry excels at. Dirt cheap, spammable support weapon teams. And then my half tracks moved forward, but they got, one was killed off by the 6-pound, the other guy was forced to surrender. I did not really see this. I was not focusing this engagement. I was focusing the side, so that was just an auto move. Now we do got a Wolverine here. My Puma, I decided to start moving it back. And now we do got more of the Air Force to contend with. If it was one aircraft, I can withstand it. Now it's getting a bit more. You got Typhoon rockets. These are not AT rockets, but they are a good amount of suppression nonetheless. Pulled up another Puma, and soon I'll start deploying the Flak 37, 37 millimeters. Now the Puma will be engaging this Churchill. However, the Churchill will be firing upon this half-track, which is actually good news for me. These half-tracks are relatively expendable in comparison to the Puma. Pumas? The cats. Why is it that the Germans named after all their vehicles? Pretty much after cats, except for a couple things. Machine gun half-tracks are good nonetheless. Rocket run comes on in. Does do quite a bit of HE damage to my Puma, but these are not Typhoon ATs, which is a very big oversight, because these are medium rockets. Typhoon AT has AT rockets, making it much more effective versus light vehicles and tanks. In fact, a Typhoon AT, either 1 or 2 runs will take out the Puma, no problem. But now these machine gun half-tracks are starting to get picked apart. They do have the AA symbol, but they cannot fire upon aircraft. So it is a bit misleading, but perhaps that's what's drawing the fire. He's assuming it's an AA half-track, but it is in fact not. It is in the support tab. Even though the picture of it is clearly firing into the air, so maybe it's an oversight, maybe they just only wanted to fire against ground, I'm not sure. Maybe it doesn't have, maybe it should act like a pintle mount. It doesn't have, I don't know. Now we do get this Puma engaging the side armor, will get tracks wheel destroyed. This Churchill has almost used up all of its ammo. And transmission damage, making it even slower. Well, tracks and wheel destroyed. Now on the forward back state, now it's going to be chain locked in. Notice the unit trying to, and that officer unit was down 2 members from that initial engagement. This is actually quite important. That means he couldn't bring his Piet to bear because he only had less members. While my vehicles are going to engage it quite quickly and kill it off. So that initial engagement is actually quite important. I got this Bren group engaging my Panzer Grenadiers. I was only sent this one squad in. It was pretty wounded, assuming if I'm going to lose it, it'll be fine. I don't know what he had in there, but fighting Bren group means I will win out. Do got bomb run. Bomb run comes on in, but it suppresses both squads, not mine. In fact, it probably did more damage to his own squad. Now it's all a matter who's going to be suppressed first. This half-track will be unsuppressed first, and plus there's additional fire upon it right there. This Puma's still alive. I have in the light cover just to provide additional vision, or not vision, protection. And now at this point, I realize I'm down 1,000 tickets. I need to claim as much ground as possible. I have 2 reconnaissance units here, as well as the Panzer. My plan is, if I find those AT guns, I'll be fine. That Wolverine gets his first shot to take my Puma, which I believe is probably fair, since I took out Stuart in the first shot of Pack 38. But now the Panzer has enough armor to withstand the Wolverine indefinitely. And does get a penetrating shot there, transmission damage. My Puma moves forward and it gets bounced. But it just moves away at crawling speed. I just tried to start moving forward, but starting to get out of vision range, so I was unable to kill it. I did spot this Bren group, seeing it was not a Piet squad, which means this half-track is more than plenty in order to take it on. But now we do got a Typhoon coming on in, and now I start, once my next resource tick, I decided to spawn a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers in order to claim these forests. I do have 52%, so I'm starting to count up in my favor. These AA weapons on a move into the gets to the front line, because I deployed them back very far because that's where I needed them at the time. I could load them up the half tracks. In fact, I actually sort of forgot about moving these guys forward for a very long time. A very big oversight on my part as well. My reinforcing infantry starting to come on in. I spotted that Bedford, managed to take it out before it deployed, which is actually quite nice. And now I'm starting to move it back. And overall, this area is pretty locked down, except for these assault pioneers that got in the area. I saw them saw the Bedfords move forward, but I couldn't really do much about it. I tried to move this Panzer Grenadiers in order to gauge some machine guns, hoping I could gun down one of the Bedfords, at least force the early deployment. However, I did not. Do got some AT guns move forward. Stuart Remy, that is in fact a 17-pounder. That is something I have to contend with. Luckily, my Jagd Panzer does have quite a bit of armor to withstand for a time, but nothing indefinitely. Luckily, this machine gun half-track will result in taking damage first. Or shots first. The Wolverine starts firing, starts trying to hit this Puma, because apparently it has vision. 17-pounder does in fact get a bounce on my Jagd Panzer. 2 bounces, which means, oh crap, that is a big gun. I see the bigger projectile, but my auto cannon half-track managed to suppress it, which actually is quite nice. And now I got these assault pioneers moving forward, but luckily this half-track here will force an early deployment, which is actually quite nice. But a rocket run will take out my machine gun half-track, but my Panzer Grenadiers have just finally got to the front line, which will result in me in order to get some good field presence in the area, to secure up these areas with Panzerfaust primarily. Not trying to clear out these units, which are just basic Bren groups, but primarily getting in Panzerfaust in order to prevent any vehicle rush. Battle Phase C has just been initiated, which means now it is my turn to have the advantage, in which I already have field control, which means I'm in a very good position. While I have a lot of tickets in deficit, I have currently at +1, I know that I have minor victory. So I don't need to push forward, I just need to secure my line and hold down. And this Wolverine does have HE rounds, being a bit problematic. It did take out a couple of my half-tracks. I didn't realize he had vision of the area, but it is, of course, open ground. So I know the Wolverine does not have very good HE damage, so I decided just to let these guys tank it and remove the ammunition by letting him using it. That sounds really bad, but it is a tactic, and if you get rid of these HE rounds from these tank destroyers, it just really does help with moving infantry around. These assault pioneers started moving around forward. I did deploy a Flak 36 here, not exactly for anti-aircraft, but for anti-infantry. I had the Puma here for anti-vehicle, and now this half-track have excellent anti-infantry and anti-light vehicle in order to deny any Bedfords moving forward to this general area. Now we got 25-pounders moving forward, which are going to be a bit problematic, as my artillery slots not exactly the most ideal of things. This is my idea for this battle group is have my tank meant for the heavy assets, while I can use my other slots for bringing the medium assets, such as the artillery column Panzer IVs. I have 2 of those, 1 Panzerwerfer and 1 mortar half-track. That is all of my artillery in the game. My anti-tank slot, I have Pak 38, Panzerstreck and AT half-track, as well as a Jagd Panzer. Trying to make usage of other assets in Battle Phase B. and not relying on Panzer IVs or Tiger tanks, because I want something a bit more armored with the Panzers. The Assault Pioneers will get gunned down thanks to the Panzer 30 by the Panzer Grenadiers and the Flak 36 37mm. We do got more cheap Pioneers now moving forward. This Panzer Grenadier is not in the best position. If he was right here, it would be a much better position, but however, it's not. Panzer Grenadier Führer will, of course, suppress it, and with the bolt action rifles there, he will just start slowly suppressing. But there is a lot of Assault Pioneers. I finally realized, oh, I should probably move forward these units. The Mortar Half-Track moves forward. Panzer Warfare moves forward as well, but this Wolverine is in a good position. It covers this crossroad, which impending doom. Because like before I was like, I want over here, but then I was like, oh, I want over here, so he started to dance around right here. Not a good idea, as you'll see why. You got this 25-pounder just hitting these flak emplacements. And these flak emplacements are incredibly important right now, because you saw the air assets the opposing player had is a lot. The Assault Pioneers are just establishing a line. He's going to move forward, but there's only one Panzer Grenadier. He can easily overwhelm that. At this point in the game, I may have 1 or 2 Panzer Grenadier columns, if any, but that's it. My infantry columns were like this: 1 officer, 3 Battle Phase A Panzer Grenadiers, and 2 Battle Phase B Panzer Grenadiers. That's all the available Battle Phase A and B Panzer Grenadiers. I only deployed 1 officer because that's all my slots of infantry. That is all my slots of infantry. So I deployed as many Panzer Grenadiers as possible from Battle Phase A to Battle Phase B. I'm not really a big fan of Battle Phase C infantry, just because at that point in the game, it's already a bit too late for infantry to make any extreme effect, especially in Panzer Lehr deck. Now we got the King Tiger out in the field with a supporting Panzer IV. This is a Veteran C3 King Tiger. First thing he's going to do, I order an attack move, and that Wolverine is covered by that bush. So I can't take out the Wolverine. The 17-pounder is engaging, but that is not in penetrating range. So I decided to shoot it back at it. Remove that thing from the field. We'll receive a couple bounces, but doing pitiful amount of suppression. Oh yeah, and also the Panzer Warfare went down because it went dancing around in the middle of the line of fire of the Wolverine. Now we got a rocket run. It hits the side armor, causing massive suppression damage. It also hits the Panzer IV, doing quite a bit of suppression and forces a fallback on these Panzers, which is very problematic. But I still have field control of 56%, which means I'm getting the +1. So all I need to do is hold this line. I can lose this forest. You got Stuart here, but I didn't realize what happened. I ordered these guys on attack and move order and was trying to secure this area, but with enough suppression damage here, as well as from the Panzer IV providing enough suppression damage, the Stuart actually did in fact surrender. Now this is all from A moves and reinforcement action. So I got lucky here. The idea of this Panzer IV is have a good hardpoint in order to gauge all infantry in this forest, as well as calling in barrages, softening it up, trying to dissuade any more advancements, because I can't engage it. All of my Panzer Grenadiers have been deployed. These 2 Panzer Grenadiers are my last Panzer Grenadiers. Oh, I did also get a couple of Me-19s. I did shoot down a aircraft. It is splashed down here. Aircraft, I think it was air superiority aircraft. And I decided to strafe the area. I did not have vision in that area. I didn't manage to gun it down. It was just a Beretta group of Assault Pioneer. Minor loss for him. But now we do got more 17-pounders moving forward. The King Tiger is in the constant being fall back a lot, which he's not in risk of being penetrated, but he is receiving quite a bit of HE damage. Engine stalled, shooter knocked out. It's not exactly good, but I still have this mortar half-track. So Starting to barrage the area and does get quite a bit of damage upon it. Transmission has been damaged, which is not good. I did manage to actually suppress the 17 pounder with my last, with my only mortar half track for the game. I did also deploy a Storch just to see what's vision in the area. I found out they have a lot of AA. Goes down. Oh well, I have another 2 available. Now there's 2 25-pounders displacing my AA weapons. This one managed to get destroyed. It is dead right there. This one here is receiving quite a bit of fire. This one is out of ammo. I need to get some ammo trucks up to them. I now do have a barrage coming in onto this infantry unit. It was a general barrage. It's a emergency barrage to this general area. So I wonder how effective were these barrages were. Doesn't look like all too much. My Panzer Grenadiers and half-tracks were removed. Looks like the emergency barrage are hitting the outskirts, didn't really do all too much. His command Churchill's out, so the Panzer IV will have trouble engaging. I finally moved forward this Pack 38 all the way from down here all the way to up here. And we'll just manage to take out Bedford. That's actually quite nice. Some opposing reinforcing infantry in this general area, but I am out of Panzer Grenadiers. Securing this force is no longer an option, so my idea is just to call in barrages to soften the area up. 17 pounders engaging this King Tiger, but he's in open ground, and the King Tiger will take it out in return. Bombs comes on in, hitting this Panzer Grenadier, but actually trying to hit this Panzer IV. Hitting the Panzer Grenadier is actually a bit more problematic, just because that's only the infantry in the area to prevent any things move forward. I'm a bit afraid of these 17 pounders with the Panzer, with the Panzer IV. King Tiger should be able to stand on a bit, but I'm afraid of anything in this area because I don't have vision of the area. Hence why those torches are quite nice to help get vision. Doesn't have all too much at the area. This Panzer is just generally here to secure any tank assets comes down this line. I can't move forward because I'm fearing 7 pounders everywhere because I don't have vision of everywhere. So if I can't push forward, I will secure, which makes me a bit vulnerable to these 17 pounder. I try to repair up this transmission damage, but these 25 pounders preventing that from happening. Rocket rounds don't exactly do great versus point targets. They're good at suppression, but that's it. They're not Typhoon AAs. Oh, not AA, ATs. Overall, I have generally good securing of this area. He has a lot of infantry, but I'm just going to generally barrage the area. Just trying to soften it up as much as I can. The artillery pieces for those things are not that good. Emergency barrages are not good whatsoever. Precision barrages are not that bad. And I've been forgetting to use those aircraft, but I also have a fear of opposing interceptors. That's why I haven't really used them all too often. Tiger's starting to move forward. We do also got more reinforcing 17 pounders with 2 stars of veterancy. Panzer IV spotted this Churchill. The Panzer IV cannot contend with this Churchill. This King Tiger is just trying to do as much work as possible, but transmission damage, it being already very slow, it's like a good combo. But however, I now deployed in 2 Tiger E's. This will provide me an excellent amount of firepower. These are both veterancy 2. And there goes that Stuart Remy, but that's not the one loaded up with an AT gun. Mortar half-track is engaging General Churchill, just trying to just do anything to it. And now here's the two Tigers now moving forward. Get some good suppression down onto that Churchill. And that is a driver knockout. That was just, I just love that unison fire right there. Driver knockout. Who's the one that knocked out the driver? I don't know. On the fallback state, but there is another command Churchill Hill. Churchills are very tanky. That's why I'm deploying these heavier assets in order to gauge them. More time on targets, just trying to generally barrage in the air. This was a precision barrage or a regular barrage, just trying to hit the front line if there was a front line. And I'm not doing all too much of these barrages. Now looking back at it, I'm not doing much whatsoever. Oh yeah, King Tiger in fact go down to this efficiency 3 pound 6-pounder. So like, oh crap, that's not good. So I immediately started pulling back my Tiger tanks. I either just barrage the area with my mortar half-track. This mortar half-track is going to play a key role. Panzer 4 will get some good suppression in the general area. There's only one member left in this Panzer Grenadier. I have him return fire in order so I can just move forward with Panzerfaust. Here comes, in order to spot this 17-pounder, which that Panzer 4 moves forward stupidly, and there goes the Panzer 4. Here comes the glorious Storch in order to spot that 17-pounder so I can mortar it to death with my only mortar half-track. Seriously, that's what's actually going to happen. I'm going to use that Storch primarily just to spot that 17-pounder. My mortar half-track is getting good suppression. I think the 25-pounders here, I believe that's another mortar half-track, but it's not. It is in fact a mortar half-track and a supply truck. In fact, that supply truck probably gives a good convincing ruse. So I did in fact see it. The 17-pounder is in fact stunned. And I know exactly where it is, so I'm going to barrage it in order to prevent it. Now the Tiger tanks can move forward. He's actually was hitting this other half-track. Now the Tiger tanks are hitting this advancing infantry as well as this Flak 36. I'm trying to suppress this infantry the best I can without using infantry because I have none left. I do actually... Oh, I just realized I could have deployed optical loggers. They have 222s. I never deployed one of those in this game. No, wait, no, they're not in optical. They're not 222s. They're in the machine gun Kubels. Never mind. Now I got some reinforcing Panzer 4s. I have overlaps in tickets at 52% map control. I just need to hold this line in order to win the game. I have guaranteed a tie. There's only 4 minutes left. But now here comes a massive airstrike. I do have this single AA weapon left. I deployed all of them. Will be suppressed down. Do bring in my third Storch. One of them's already dead. We'll take out that interceptor. This guy will immediately retarget into the Typhoon. Which I believe I lost one of my interceptors earlier, so I took out a rocket-running aircraft as well. But this guy will be forced back from the Crusader AAs, leaving him vulnerable to this Tempest horseman fire. And he's continuing to barrage down this quote-unquote mortar half-track. That mortar half-track's been very good bait. It was unintentional, but it was been very good bait this entire game. In the last of my command Panzer 4s, I still have one left, along with my 2 Tiger tanks to inspire them. Emergency 3 Tiger tanks is quite important. Oh, I still have a couple more AA weapons left. And this half-track's been very good bait. It is not a mortar half-track. Mortar half-track is the other one. I saw this Panzer Grenadier does have little amount of vision, but it doesn't see these guys so pinned down. I could have moved in order to force a surrender. As I decided to bring in some Pumas in order for reconnaissance, just so I can have additional vision of the area. With 2 minutes left remaining in the game, my opponent's going to be deploying as much as they can. These Stuart Remys, their icon where you don't have full vision, you have general vision, is in fact a Sherman symbol. So I thought these guys were tanks. or at least that first one was a tank. So I decided to move forward with these Tiger tanks. There's 2 minutes left. He's going to do a bonside run in order to secure as much ground as possible, just to deny the last couple of tickets so the game will end in a tie. I realized there's only 2 minutes left. I decided to do a suicide run in myself. Not exactly a suicide run, but just charge in myself in order to claim as much ground as possible. You have these Veteran 3 Tiger tanks, which are very good assets. We'll take out that AT gun, quite important. But there are these challengers. They're equivalent counters, but they're unveteran. Actually, is quite important versus these veteran Tiger tanks. So the veteran Tiger tanks are more slotted out to win. They do manage to take out one of the Panzer 4 shooter knocked out. That is very crippling. But they're all very stacked up, so any miss or hit will cause massive suppression across the line. Shooter wounded. One of them is forced in the fallback state. You got a bombing run coming in, but fighter bombers don't do all too much versus these heavy tanks. Now these guys starting to move forward. There's still this command Churchill in the general area. I thought, wager a Tiger tank will win out. There goes the Panzer 4. And like I said, generally, with only 54 seconds left in the game, I send in my last torch to spot the area. The AA has largely been dealt with. He may have infantry field control of those areas, but that's about it. The Panzer, I didn't actually move forward. That was a bit of oversight. I decided to do a suicide run with these Panzer 4, assuming there's going to be a PA equipped officer infantry, but there is not in range. So I managed to claim just enough points. I believe you need at least 250 over, so I need 1,290. I just claimed that with 15 seconds remaining, resulting in a win. The Pumas and reinforcing Panzer 4, I didn't realize I forgot to bring them forward. And that is the end of the game. I had a barely high win. It's just minor defeat because you always, in reference of the allied player, minor victory. You can see here I definitely did get it. And overall, I actually, with that huge rush in the beginning, I still managed to get a higher kill to death ratio, which actually is quite important because I need to be very cost effective throughout the game. In the later parts of the game, even I would say the final 10 minutes, not even after the initial part of Battle Phase C, is where I can be a bit wasteful. Overall here, let's see, 6-pounder, claim a half-track and Kubo, not too much. Rifles, will manage to take out a Panzer Grenadier, as well as a Forces on a half-track. Churchill managed to take out 2 Kubo MGs, that's minor loss. The machine gun half-track, that's a bit of a loss. But then losing that Puma is actually quite a big loss. Spitfire will take out a couple more machine gun half-tracks. Wolverine will take out a large number of half-tracks, including the Panzer Warfare, as well as both Pumas. That is a bit of a loss. This 25-pounder will take out 2 AT guns. MMG carrier manages. How? I don't really know. That's probably when I just attack and move stuff. But overall, let's see what I got good kill. Panzer Warfare will claim that initial 6-pounder. Quite good. Mortar half-track will claim a 17-pounder and 16-pounder. Quite nice. Puma will claim the Churchill and Burning Group. Not too much. This half-track did pay for itself in the end. Probably just barely. Half-track kills. Panzer kills. Pack 38. Panzer. Churchill and Wolverine. Quite nice. King Tiger. 2 17-pounders. The artillery Panzer 4. Quite a bit of kills. Wolverine is probably the big thing. Honey, MG, carrier, as well as the rifles. Overall, a pretty nice niche game. This Tiger E did quite a bit of work, taking out a huge amount of opposing forces. Overall, a very good game by both players. This is Ægion saying thank you for watching and signing off.